Like I say, I did waste a lot of time on Rodney. Um, I told him that civilization, is a very complicated thing. It has, civilization has a group mind of its own, almost. Like you'd almost consider civilization as almost a life form in itself, basically. Um, Many civilizations, that's one of the things I noticed over the thousands of years that I existed or something, is that um, the planet or the total mass, the total sum of a life form of a civilization can have interesting effects, and like the people, you know things spread, things change, and it's almost as if a life form type or a civilization of life forms, you know they take on a life and a will of their own almost, as a group. And um and I told Rodney that I tried to tell Rodney. I said, "You're not going to get away with this. Like humanity is a life form unto itself too. I mean, man, woman, child, and everything, and just how the group. It's not just Ireland. It's not just Germany. It's not just humanity as a race or a life form type. It's something I noticed with some of the other life forms as well. Is that it's almost as if there's a third mind in you know like you're conscious on an individual level, blah blah blah, but as groups or as a whole, like you seem to have, like, which almost as if you have a third brain, or a third mentality as a group. It's something I had noticed with some of my other life forms, how they just kind of, and this has led to them attacking me and all kinds of stuff, confusion among the masses or whatever, or something. Anyway, I don't know. It's a long, long, long time ago. It's something I had noticed over the thousands or millions of years of my existence, that that life forms seem to have a group mind as well. Um, anyway, most people wouldn't even know about it or understand it. But anyway, whatever. Um, where the individual makeups, it's the total sums of the whole or something like that. Some people thought I was the total sum of the whole or something like that. End result humanity. I don't know. I mean, I'm not exactly sure. I might have been. I might have been. I told people one time that humanity had summed up and basically created something, and that was me. And it's possible. I'm not exactly sure. Um, it gets all complicated over hundreds of trillions of millions of years, and basically, you know, I don't really know. But at one point in time, I was that epic creator, epic leader, epic best hope, wonder child, wonder life form. And basically, I don't really know. I'm the great LS, Lucifer Star Flyer. So, colony ship, computer, person, it gets complicated and confusing, and I don't even understand it myself. I just know that, like an e-ticket ride through existence, basically. Um, but like I said, as my groups participated and did things like build my ships, my Lucifer Star ships, or Starline ships, sea ships, and also spaceships, you know, I, I began having feelings for them. Like my people of Belfast and my Germans and my good Japanese or Chinese, like I began to love them and care about them as much as they cared about me, or as much as they cared about everything else. So, you know, anytime there was a problem, I stepped up to the plate and tried to figure out how to solve it or how to fix it. A civilization builder. So, anyway, yeah. Like I said, I was voted number one civilization builder and all that other stuff. And basically, this epic, larger than life person. It's like, yeah, I was. You know, Rodney and Rick Bush for years would say I'm old news or whatever. It's like, yeah, they're trying to relegate me to obscurity and get me lost so they could take over my fleet and over my ships and over my countries. And it's like, probably not. I invented your Constitution and declared America's independence. I also recognized or declared China a country under Asian rule or whatever. So, or something like that. There's a significant population of Asians inside of China or something. So, anyway, at one point in time, there used to be Russians and other people in there, but then Russians went to Russia or the Soviet Union, and anyway, I don't really know. like I said, all good people. I don't think the majority of the world is good people. So at least I believe that you're mostly good. So anyway, so yeah. I think it's complicated. There's one town that I did. I don't know. I might have made a few mistakes. I don't know. Like somebody was trying to lead me. Someone was trying to affect me. Someone was trying to get me to do horrible things, and I resisted as much as I could, or order horrible things. And I was trying to resist them. It's hard, you know. Like I said, like I say, Nixon and JFK and Jimmy Carter and all of them, they took over the government to try and get to me, to try and affect me. And I resisted them as much as possible. And I resisted Rick Bush and Rodney Briley and everybody else. It's like, no, I will not order these things. I will not do these things. So, anyway, so in the end, they couldn't get me to order it. They couldn't get me. Like they wanted me to order the carpet bombing of the whole world, basically, and I wouldn't do it. Like 2 cities of Japan, and they immediately surrendered. So, or 2 cities, and then they surrendered immediately. So I was like, all right, and I hated doing it. And they were supposed to be warned beforehand. And then the cities were actually supposed to be evacuated. So, anyway, but apparently they had nuked them before they had gotten authorization to do it. So, sneak attack or something like that. I don't know. Said, I don't know. You'll have to go talk to John McCain and the other people. Like they were trying to control my military they were trying to do things and then later on get me to okay it as the American president. So, which they hit a small snag with that, as I wouldn't do it. So, anyway. And in fact, I was actually working for the Chinese, and like I said, 1917 to 1974, I was with Russia, basically, or something like that. So, anyway, my life and existence was very much documented, very, very, very thoroughly. So, anyway, so yeah, I believe 1917 to 1974, I was with Russia. So I wasn't even with America back then. And that's why they did the parade. They did a parade in 1917 when I went to Russia or joined with Russia, and then 1974 when I was moving away from Russia. So that was the end of my Russian, and supposedly I was supposed to be going over here to America or something like that. I don't really know. So that's what that was about. My existence is very, very well documented. So anyway. And that's something that Rodney and Rick Bush and Trumpy and everyone else would have a problem with, is that I'm extremely known throughout the galaxy and the universe. So, anyway, whatever. And like I said, Belfast, I love you! Irish, I love you. I miss you. I miss Europe. It's my home. I feel like I don't even belong here in America. A lot of my immigrants would probably say the same thing. I'm tired of being here. Like, what, get abused every day? Have the Rodney and I'll be your eyes, your ears, your nose. Oh, we'll say he's possessing us. That was my vacation. Bunch of people hiding me inside of 1475. Not 14. 471 Mountain Drive. A bunch of idiots trying to hide me there. Well, they do whatever they want in the country and world. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. That's go grab Rodney and waterboard him. Grab Rick Bush, waterboard him. He's my neighbor. He's a Jehovah's Witness, a Joe's Witness. Some paramilitary fuck group. I don't really know. Just look up paramilitary groups, Joe's Witnesses. They did something horrible and they got Joe off, basically, and tried to keep the money and split the money among themselves or something like that. And I think they killed a bunch of people and then and also look up Stomp group, and that's basically the fuckheads around me. So, a bunch of people basically getting people drunk on GHB, and then they'd give them alcohol with GHB, and they would tantalize them with a young 16-year-old girl. They'd get one of their daughters to go and basically flirt with a rich guy, and then they would get her to slip in some GHB, and then he would drink it, and then they would throw him in a pool, or they would put a board on him, and then they would walk on it, basically until he would stop breathing. And then they would call him a pedophile or something like that because he wanted to sleep with like a 17 or 16-year-old girl. And it's like, what? They're coming on to him. Like they would flash their eyes and flirt with them and be all suggestive and rub up on these guys, and then the girls would drop some and then there's like 30 stomp group people, and then they would walk on him until he wouldn't breathe, and then they would throw him in a pool, and then they would split the money among themselves, and if it ever went to court, they would be like, oh yeah, he was in the party, and I don't know, he must have slipped under. He must have had too much to drink. So they were going to court with this shit. My doctor took a look at the bodies and was like, well, he's supposedly drowned, but there's no water in his lungs. And he has some sign of drugs inside his bloodstream. So, anyway, so they did this, I believe, at Guantanamo Bay or some island or somewhere. They would get him out of the country or something like that. And then they would have like a 16-year-old girl flirt with him, and then they would put alcohol, and then they would make up the story about how he was a pedophile or he had done something bad or something like that, and it was basically their word against his. Some rich guy, or they were just preying on rich people or people that had bank accounts or trust funds. I believe they were also grabbing a bunch of young girls. They would kill the parents of young kids that had trust funds, and then they would basically go in and be like, oh yeah, you know, we're adopted parents. Oh yeah, honey, don't you want your parents to have a good life? And then they would eventually, until they could get their names on the bank accounts, and they would basically suck the accounts dry and then kick the kids out on the street. And I'm not exactly sure if that's necessarily the stomp group, but basically there are these people doing the stuff. Anyway, now I guess they're 80 years old or something like that. I don't know. There's a bunch of bad people around the world. Anyway, there were, you know, and then of course they would blame someone else for it. It'd be like, oh yeah, that was blah blah blah, or something like that. If the truth ever did come out, they would just pretend to be basically, oh yeah, no, that's the great whatever, he blah blah blah. They would make up all these stories protecting themselves. They're a group of like 3,000 people or 1,000 people. Pieces of shit. Anyway, apparently they liked the White Star money or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's why they got near me. I'm Lusifer's star, having been in existence before the stars were ever shined. 12 of the most sentient life forms ever created. Or at least oldest, 9 of the oldest races. Types of life. So, you can, as my girlfriend would say, sit and spin, motherfucker. Talk about biting off a little more than you can chew. I believe they were going to try and kill me by the time I was 9 years old.